The notification came through at 2:45 a.m. on a Tuesday, and I should have been asleep. Instead, I was hunched over my laptop in our home office, trying to finish a quarterly report that my boss needed by morning. My phone buzzed against the desk, a sound that wouldn't have meant anything if it hadn't been for the sender's name that flashed across the screen. Tyler Brennan, my brother-in-law. The message was simple. Dude, we need to talk. Call me when you're alone. Attached was a screenshot. I picked up the phone, squinting at the image. It took my brain a few seconds to process what I was seeing. A conversation between two people on some messaging app I didn't recognize. The profile pictures were small, but I could make out faces. One was unmistakably my wife, Jessica. The other was a man I'd never seen before. My eyes scanned the messages, and my stomach dropped through the floor. Can't wait to see you Friday. Room 412. Same hotel. I'll be there by 8. Wear that thing I like. You know I will. God, I miss your hands on me. The timestamp showed these messages were from yesterday. Monday. The day Jessica told me she was going to a work conference in Richmond. I sat there, staring at my phone, waiting for my heart to explode, or my brain to make sense of this. Neither happened. Instead, I felt this weird, hollow sensation spreading through my chest, like someone had scooped out my insides and replaced them with concrete. My hands were shaking when I called Tyler. He picked up on the first ring. Kyle, man, I'm so sorry. I didn't know if I should… Where did you get this? My voice sounded strange, distant. Amber's friend Nicole works at the marketing firm with Jessica. She saw these messages pop up on Jessica's computer when they were working late tonight. Jessica stepped away to take a call, and Nicole… Look, she didn't mean to snoop, but the messages were just there, and she recognized your wife's name from our wedding photos on Amber's Facebook. Amber, Tyler's wife, Jessica's younger sister. Does Amber know? I asked. I just told her. She's crying in the bathroom right now. She doesn't want to believe it, but… He trailed off. Kyle, I'm really sorry, man. What are you going to do? I looked at the closed bedroom door down the hall, where Jessica was presumably sleeping. We'd been married for 6 years, together for 9. We had a 4-year-old daughter, Emma, who was asleep in the room next to ours. I don't know, I said. I need to think. Do you want me to send you the original screenshot? Nicole took a photo of it with her phone before Jessica came back. Yeah, send it. After we hung up, I sat in the darkness of my office, the blue light from my laptop screen casting shadows across the walls. The screenshot arrived a moment later, clearer this time. I zoomed in, reading through more of the conversation. There were dozens of messages, going back weeks, maybe months. The man's name, according to his profile, was Derek Walsh. I opened a new browser tab and did what any person in 2024 would do. I searched for him. It took less than 5 minutes to find his LinkedIn profile. Derek Walsh, Senior Account Executive at Meridian Solutions, the same company where Jessica worked as a marketing director. His profile picture showed a guy in his mid-30s, probably a few years younger than me, with one of those perfectly maintained beards and expensive haircuts. The kind of guy who probably did CrossFit and posted motivational quotes on Instagram. I clicked through his photos. There he was at a company retreat, at a charity golf tournament, at what looked like a rooftop bar with colleagues. And there, in the background of one photo from 3 months ago, was Jessica. She was laughing at something someone was saying, holding a cocktail, wearing the blue dress I'd bought her for her birthday. I closed the laptop. The smart thing would have been to take a breath, to think this through rationally, to gather evidence, to plan my next move carefully. But I wasn't feeling particularly smart right then. I was feeling like someone had taken a sledgehammer to the foundation of my entire life. I walked down the hallway to our bedroom. The door creaked slightly as I pushed it open. Jessica was lying on her side, facing away from me, her blonde hair spread across the pillow. She looked peaceful, innocent. "Jess," I said. She didn't move. "Jessica." She stirred, rolling over and blinking up at me in the darkness. "Kyle? What time is it?" "Late. We need to talk." She sat up, rubbing her eyes. "Now? I have an early meeting tomorrow." "About Richmond," I said, watching her face carefully in the dim light from the hallway. "What about it?" Her voice was still thick with sleep, but I caught something else there, a slight hesitation. "The conference you're going to on Friday." "Yeah?" She reached for her phone on the nightstand, checking the time. "Babe, it's almost 3 in the morning. Can this wait?" "No," I said. "It can't." I pulled out my phone and held up the screenshot. "Want to explain this?" Even in the darkness, I could see the color drain from her face. The bedroom light clicked on. Jessica sat up, squinting against the sudden brightness, her blonde hair messy from sleep. She looked at my phone screen, and I watched her face go through a series of changes. Confusion, recognition, then something that looked almost like relief. "Kyle, don't." I pulled the phone back. "I already know everything I need to know." She drew her knees up, wrapping her arms around them. "How long have you had that?" "About an hour. Tyler sent it. Nicole saw your messages at work." Jessica closed her eyes. "God, that's all you have to say?" "What do you want me to say?" Her voice came out flat, resigned. "You clearly already believe whatever you're going to believe." The audacity of that nearly made me laugh. "I believe what I can see with my own eyes." "Room 412. Same hotel. Those are your words, Jessica." She didn't deny it, just sat there, looking at the comforter. "How long?" I asked. "Does it matter?" "Yeah, it matters." She picked at a thread on the blanket. 3 months, since the Richmond conference. 3 months. While I'd been working late, taking Emma to daycare, planning our summer vacation. 3 months of lies. "Are you in love with him?" Jessica's laugh was bitter. "In love? No, it wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" "I don't know, Kyle. It just happened. He paid attention to me, made me feel..." She trailed off. "Feel what?" "Alive? Wanted? Not just like someone's wife or someone's mother or someone's employee." I stood there, phone still in my hand, looking at this woman I'd spent 9 years with. "I made you feel dead? You made me feel invisible." The words hung between us. Part of me wanted to argue, to list all the things I did for her, for Emma, for our life together. But the larger part just felt tired. "So you went to Derek Walsh." "It wasn't planned. Don't say it just happened again." My voice came out harder than I intended. "You made choices, multiple choices. Every time you texted him, every time you went to that hotel room, those were choices." Jessica finally looked at me. Her eyes were dry. "You're right. I want you to stop seeing him. Okay? I want access to your phone, your email, everything." She nodded. "And I want you to find a new job." That made her look up sharply. "Kyle, I can't just quit. We need my income." "Then transfer. Different department, different office." "I don't care, but you're not working with him anymore." "That's not realistic." "I don't give a damn about realistic. You want to save this marriage? Those are the terms." Jessica stared at me for a long moment. "And if I do all that? Then what?" "Then we figure out if there's anything left to save." She pulled the blanket tighter around herself. "I'll need time to request a transfer, to talk to HR. You have until Monday." "Kyle." "Monday, Jessica, or I'm calling a lawyer." I slept in the guest room. Or didn't sleep, really. Just lay there watching the ceiling fan rotate, thinking about hotel rooms and explicit messages and 3 months of lies. At 6, I got up and made coffee. Emma would be awake soon, needing breakfast, needing to be driven to daycare, needing her parents to pretend everything was normal. Jessica came downstairs at 6:30, already dressed for work. She poured coffee without looking at me. "Are you going in today?" I asked. "I have meetings I can't miss." "With Derek?" "No, with clients." She added cream to her mug. "I'll talk to HR this afternoon about transfer options." "What are you going to tell them?" "That I need a change, new challenges, something." Emma's footsteps thundered on the stairs. Jessica straightened, putting on her mom face, the smile, the bright eyes. I did the same. We were good at pretending. We'd apparently been doing it for months. "Morning, baby girl," Jessica said, scooping Emma up. Emma wrapped her arms around Jessica's neck. "Pancakes?" "Daddy's making pancakes," I said, moving to the pantry. "Go pick out your outfit for school." Emma squirmed down and ran back upstairs. Jessica and I stood in the kitchen, not looking at each other. "I meant what I said last night," I told her. "Monday." "I know." She left for work at 7:15. I made pancakes, got Emma ready, drove her to daycare. Everything normal, everything routine, everything a lie. At my desk by 8:30, I couldn't focus on the quarterly reports. Instead, I found myself Googling divorce lawyers, child custody, asset division, things I never thought I'd need to know. Tyler called at 9. "Hey man, how'd it go?" She admitted it. 3 months, starting at some conference in Richmond. "Jesus, I'm sorry." She says she'll stop seeing him, transfer departments. Tyler was quiet for a moment. "You believe her?" "I don't know what I believe anymore." "Amber's a mess. She can't believe Jessica would do this." "Neither can I." "You need anything? Want to grab a beer after work?" "Can't." "Emma." "Right. Well, I'm here if you need to talk." I thanked him and hung up. Stared at my computer screen without seeing it. My phone buzzed. A text from Jessica. "Talk to HR. They have an opening in the Portland office. Would mean relocating." Portland. 3,000 miles away from Derek Walsh. Also 3,000 miles from my job, Emma's daycare, our entire life. I typed back, "Not relocating, find something local." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then, "There's nothing local in my level. Would have to take a demotion." "Then take it." The dots appeared and disappeared several times before her response came. "This isn't fair." I almost threw my phone across the office. Instead, I typed, "You're right. None of this is fair. Do it anyway." No response. That afternoon, I did something I'd never done before. I logged into our cell phone account and pulled Jessica's text message records. Couldn't see the content, just the numbers and timestamps. Derek Walsh's number appeared constantly. Multiple times a day, every day, for the past 3 months. Sometimes late at night, after I'd gone to bed. Sometimes early morning before I woke up. Sometimes during her lunch hour. I cross-referenced the dates with our calendar. The Richmond conference, 18 texts that weekend. Emma's birthday party, 7 texts while we were celebrating. Our anniversary dinner, 3 texts, including one at 10:47 p.m. right after we'd gotten home. Every moment of our life she'd been texting him. I printed the records, 43 pages of evidence. Then I called the one person I knew who'd gone through this before. "Brett, it's Kyle. You got a minute?" Brett Patterson had divorced his wife 2 years ago after catching her with a coworker. We'd played softball together, grabbed occasional beers. He'd understand. "Yeah, man. What's up?" "I need the name of your divorce lawyer." Silence on the other end. Then, "Ah, hell, Jessica?" Jessica, how'd you find out? I told him about the screenshot, the confrontation, the 3 months of lies. You want my advice? Brett said. Don't wait. Don't do the reconciliation dance. It never works. They always go back. She says she'll stop. They always say that too. He paused. Look, maybe I'm cynical. Maybe your situation's different. But I wasted 8 months trying to fix things with Michelle, and she was sleeping with the guy the whole time. Just better at hiding it. I've got a 4-year-old daughter. I know. That makes it harder. But staying in a broken marriage doesn't help Emma either. Trust me. He gave me his lawyer's name, David Brennan, no relation to Tyler. Said he was expensive but thorough. One more thing, Brett said. Document everything. Every lie, every inconsistency, every time she breaks a promise. You'll need it. I looked at the 43 pages of phone records on my desk. Already started. Jessica came home at 7, 2 hours later than usual. I was feeding Emma dinner. Mommy! Emma climbed down from her chair and ran over. Jessica hugged her, but her eyes were on me. Can we talk? After Emma's in bed? We did the bedtime routine together. Bath, pajamas, stories, pretending again. Emma didn't notice anything wrong. Why would she? Her parents were smiling, reading her favorite book, tucking her in with kisses. When her door finally closed, Jessica followed me downstairs. I put in for a transfer, she said, to the Boston office. Same level, same pay. They're reviewing it. Boston. Still far, but not Portland far. When would it start? If approved, 30 days. And Derek? I blocked his number, told him it's over. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her, but Brett's words echoed in my head. They always say that too. Show me your phone. She handed it over without argument. I scrolled through her messages. Derek's thread was gone, deleted. Her call log showed nothing from his number today. Email too, I said. She pulled it up on her phone. I searched for Derek's name. The last email was from yesterday, confirming their Friday hotel meeting. Nothing today. I ended it, Jessica said quietly. I know you don't trust me, but I did. I handed her phone back. We'll see. The Boston transfer request got denied Thursday afternoon. Jessica's voice was brittle when she told me. They said there aren't any openings at my level right now. Maybe in 6 months. 6 months. I stood in the kitchen, phone pressed to my ear, watching the coffee maker drip. 6 months of her working in the same building as Derek Walsh, breathing the same air, riding the same elevators. So what now? I asked. I'll keep looking. Maybe another company. I've already updated my resume. Good. The call ended. I poured coffee I didn't want and stared at the backyard through the window. Emma's plastic slide sat crooked in the grass, one leg sinking into soft earth from last week's rain. My phone buzzed. Tyler. How's it going? Transfer fell through, I typed back. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. That sucks, man. You holding up? Yeah. I wasn't. Friday morning, Jessica left for work at 7:30, like always. I'd taken the day off, told my boss I had a family thing to handle, not a lie. I waited 15 minutes, then opened the laptop and logged into our phone carrier account. The password she'd given me still worked. I pulled up Thursday's call log. My stomach tightened. Derek Walsh. 3 calls. One at 11:47 a.m., lasting 4 minutes. Another at 2:33 p.m., 6 minutes. The last at 4:15 p.m., 2 minutes. She'd blocked him. That's what she'd said. Blocked his number, cut all contact. I sat there staring at the screen until my vision blurred. Then I grabbed my phone and called Brett. Kyle, hey, what's up? She's still talking to him. Silence on the other end. Then, you sure? Phone records, 3 calls yesterday. Jesus. Brett exhaled slowly. Listen, I know you wanted to try fixing this, but I need that lawyer's name. Yeah, okay. Papers rustled in the background. Got a pen? I wrote down the information. Gregory Palmer, family law attorney. Brett said he was expensive but thorough, had handled his divorce 2 years ago. Thanks, I said. Kyle, document everything. I mean, everything. Dates, times, what she says versus what she does. Palmer will want all of it. After we hung up, I sat in the home office and opened a new document. Started typing out a timeline. The Richmond conference in August. Tyler's screenshot from Tuesday. The confrontation at 3 a.m. Her promises. The phone records showing she'd lied. My hands shook on the keyboard. I called Palmer's office at 9. The receptionist said he had an opening Monday at 2 p.m. I took it. Then I did something I'd been avoiding. I opened Facebook and searched for Derek Walsh. His profile was mostly private, but his cover photo showed him at some charity 5K, arm around a brunette in running gear. His girlfriend? Wife? The About section didn't say. Relationship status hidden. I clicked through to his public photos. Corporate team building events. Gym selfies. A shot of him at a rooftop bar with the caption, "Living my best life." My wife had thrown away our marriage for this guy. I closed the laptop before I put my fist through the screen. Jessica came home at 6:15. I was in the living room, Emma on the floor with her coloring books. "Hey," Jessica said, dropping her bag by the door. She looked tired, makeup faded, hair pulled back in a messy bun. "Hey." She bent down, kissed Emma's head. "How was your day, sweetie?" Emma showed her a picture of what might have been a horse or a dog, hard to tell. Jessica made appropriate impressed noises. "Can I talk to you?" I said. Kitchen. Her shoulders tensed. "Okay." I waited until we were out of Emma's earshot, kept my voice level. "You called Derek yesterday." The color drained from her face. "Kyle, 3 times, 17 minutes total. It's not, I can explain." "I'm listening." She gripped the counter edge, knuckles white. "He kept calling me. From different numbers, the office line, I don't know. I finally answered to tell him to stop. 3 times. The first call, he wouldn't listen. Started saying he missed me, that we needed to talk. I hung up. He called back from a different extension. I told him I was serious, that we were done. Then he called again later and Her voice cracked. "I told him to leave me alone or I'd report him to HR. I watched her face. The tremor in her jaw. The way she couldn't quite meet my eyes. "Show me your call history," I said. "What?" "Your phone. Show me the calls." She pulled her phone from her pocket with shaking hands, unlocked it, navigated to recent calls. Held it out. The log showed 3 incoming calls from numbers I didn't recognize, each one lasting the times I'd seen in the carrier records. "See?" she whispered. "He called me. And you answered. Every time. I had to make him stop. You could have blocked the numbers. You could have gone to HR after the first one. Instead, you had 3 conversations with him." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I'm trying, Kyle. I'm really trying, but he won't let me go." Something cold settled in my chest. "Did you tell him about us? That I know?" She nodded. "In the second call. I told him you found out, that we can't see each other anymore." "What did he say?" "That I was making a mistake. That you'd never forgive me anyway, so why was I bothering?" She wiped her face with her sleeve. "I told him he was wrong." "But he kept calling." "Yes." I pulled out my phone, opened the Notes app where I'd been documenting everything. Added Friday's conversation while she watched. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Keeping a record." "Of what?" "Everything." I looked up at her. "I have a lawyer appointment Monday." Her face crumpled. Kyle, please. I'm not filing yet. I'm getting advice, understanding my options. I said I'd fix this. You also said you blocked him. You said you cut contact, but he's still calling and you're still answering. What am I supposed to do? Ignore him and have him show up here? Yes, and if he does, we call the police. I pocketed my phone. Block every number he calls from. If he uses a new one, block that too. If he approaches you at work, you walk away and report it to HR immediately. And you show me every single time it happens. She nodded, mascara streaking her cheeks. I mean it, Jessica. Complete transparency or I'm done. Okay, yes, I promise. I wanted to believe her. Some stupid, desperate part of me wanted to believe she'd actually follow through this time. But I'd seen the phone records. I knew what promises from her were worth. Saturday morning, I took Emma to the park while Jessica supposedly job hunted at home. We fed ducks at the pond, and Emma asked why Mommy seemed sad lately. She's just stressed about work, I said. Is she mad at you? No, sweetheart. Everything's okay. The lie tasted like ash. My phone buzzed. Jessica. Derek showed up at the house. My blood went cold. When? 10 minutes ago. Rang the doorbell. I didn't answer. Is he still there? No. He left. His car just pulled away. I scooped up Emma. We need to go home, honey. But the ducks, we'll come back tomorrow. The drive home took 8 minutes. Jessica was standing in the living room when we walked in, arms wrapped around herself. He's gone, she said. I watched from the upstairs window. He stood on the porch for maybe 5 minutes, then left. Did he say anything? He called my phone while he was out there. I didn't answer. I checked the security camera footage on my phone. We'd installed the doorbell camera last year after a package theft. Sure enough, there was Derek Walsh at 10:23 a.m., finger on the bell, phone to his ear. Wearing jeans and a polo shirt, expensive sunglasses pushed up on his head. He looked casual, comfortable, like he had every right to be there. I'm calling the police, I said. Kyle? He came to our house, that's not okay. I dialed non-emergency and filed a report. The dispatcher said an officer would come by to take a statement. While we waited, I downloaded the camera footage to my laptop, added it to the folder I was building for Palmer. The officer arrived 20 minutes later. Young guy, maybe late 20s, took notes while Jessica explained about the affair, the attempts to end it, Derek's unwanted contact. Has he threatened you? The officer asked. Not exactly, Jessica said, but he won't leave me alone. We can file a report, but unless he's made explicit threats or you have a restraining order, there's not much we can do about someone ringing your doorbell. What about harassment? I asked. You could pursue a restraining order if the behavior continues. Document everything. Calls, texts, visits. If he shows up again, call us immediately. After he left, I looked at Jessica. You're getting a restraining order. That seems extreme. He came to our house. Once. That you know of. How many times has he driven by? How many times has he sat out there watching? Her face went pale. You think he's been… I don't know. But I'm not waiting to find out. I pulled up the lawyer's information on my phone. I'm calling Palmer Monday morning, moving the appointment earlier if possible. You're coming with me? She nodded slowly. Okay. And you're blocking his number, right now, all of them. She pulled out her phone and started blocking the numbers from yesterday's calls while I watched. When she finished, I said, if he contacts you again, anyway, you tell me immediately, not an hour later, not when I ask, immediately. I will. I wanted to believe her. I really did. The restraining order hearing was scheduled for Wednesday morning at 9. Jessica had filed the paperwork Monday afternoon, her hands shaking as she signed the forms in the courthouse lobby while I stood 3 feet away, watching. Tuesday night, I sat in my office going through the security footage again. Derek had stood on our porch for exactly 4 minutes and 23 seconds. He'd knocked 3 times, waited, checked his phone, then knocked again. The camera caught him leaning close to the door, saying something I couldn't hear. Then he'd walked back to his car, a silver Audi A4 parked at the curb, and sat there for another 12 minutes before driving away. I'd sent the footage to Gregory Palmer along with the police report number. He'd responded within an hour. Good. Bring this to the hearing. Judge Martinez takes stalking seriously. My phone buzzed. Tyler. How's it going, man? I rubbed my eyes. Hearing's tomorrow. You need me there? No, just Jessica and me. Her lawyer said it's straightforward. A pause. Amber wanted me to ask, are you still going through with the divorce? I looked at the framed photo on my desk. Emma, on her 3rd birthday, chocolate cake smeared across her face, Jessica and me on either side of her. We'd looked happy. Maybe we had been. Yeah, I said. Monday, Palmer's filing the papers. Jesus, Tyler exhaled slowly. Amber's not taking it well. She knew this was coming. I know, she just hoped you guys might work it out. I didn't respond. There wasn't anything to say. Listen, Tyler said. If you need anything, I'm good, thanks. After we hung up, I opened my email. Palmer had sent over the draft petition. I'd read it twice already, but I pulled it up again. Irreconcilable differences. Breakdown of the marital relationship. Equitable distribution of assets. Clinical language for the end of 9 years. I scrolled down to the custody section. We'd agreed to joint legal custody, with Emma primarily residing with me. Jessica would get alternating weekends and 1 evening per week. She hadn't fought it. I think she knew she didn't have the leverage. The phone records sat in a folder on my desktop. 3 calls the day after our confrontation. Then nothing for 2 days. Then Saturday, Derek at the door. I clicked through Jessica's recent texts. She'd given me full access to her phone, left it on the kitchen counter every night. Passcode written on a post-it note stuck to the bathroom mirror. The level of transparency might have meant something a week ago. Now it just felt like theater. Most of her messages were mundane. Coordinating Emma's preschool pickup with Amber. A group chat with college friends planning someone's baby shower. Work emails about campaign analytics and client deliverables. Nothing from Derek. Nothing suspicious. But I'd learned that absence of evidence wasn't evidence of absence. I opened a new browser tab and typed Derek's name into Facebook again. His profile was still semi-public, the privacy settings loose enough that I could see his recent activity. He'd posted a motivational quote that morning. The only impossible journey is the one you never begin. 43 likes. 12 comments, mostly colleagues from Meridian Solutions leaving fire emojis and "so true" responses. I clicked through to his photos. The woman from the previous pictures, dark hair, athletic build, appeared in several recent posts. A hiking photo from 2 weeks ago, both of them in matching trail gear. A restaurant selfie from last month. Her smile looked genuine, his arm around her shoulders. I wondered if she knew. If she'd noticed him being distant, secretive. If she'd found anything on his phone. Or if she was just like I'd been 6 days ago, completely oblivious. My email dinged. Palmer again. Kyle, one more thing for tomorrow. Bring any communication you have showing Jessica's attempts to end contact with Derek. Text messages, emails, anything demonstrating she didn't encourage his visit. Judge will want to see she's not playing games. I forwarded him the screenshot of Jessica's blocked contacts list, Derek's number at the top. Then the text she'd sent me Friday night. I blocked him on everything: phone, email, social media. I don't want any contact with him. I'm so sorry. It looked convincing. Maybe it even was. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Jessica appeared in the doorway, wearing the old Northwestern sweatshirt she'd had since college. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. No makeup. She looked exhausted. "You're still up," she said. "Going through stuff for tomorrow." She nodded, hovering in the doorway like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to enter. "Palmer sent me the same email. I have the screenshots ready." "Good." Silence stretched between us. She shifted her weight from foot to foot. "I was thinking," she said quietly, "after the hearing, maybe we could talk. About everything." I kept my eyes on the screen. "What's there to talk about?" "Kyle, you slept with someone else for 3 months. He showed up at our house. We're getting a restraining order tomorrow and filing for divorce Monday. I think we've covered everything." Her voice cracked. "I know I can't fix this. I know that. But Emma, don't." I looked up at her. "Don't use Emma as a reason to drag this out." "I'm not. I want to make sure we're doing this the right way, for her. We are, joint custody, minimal disruption to her routine." Palmer laid it all out. Jessica's eyes were red-rimmed. "Is this really what you want?" The question hung in the air. I thought about the screenshot Tyler had sent. The hotel room. 3 months of lies. Derek on our porch knocking on our door while our daughter slept upstairs. "Yeah," I said. "It is." She wiped her eyes with her sleeve. "Okay." She turned to leave, then stopped. "For what it's worth, I really did block him. I'm not lying about that." "I know." "Then why?" "Because it doesn't matter." I closed the laptop. "You blocked him after you got caught. You ended it because I found out, not because you wanted to. That's the difference." She stood there for another moment, then walked away. I heard her bedroom door close, the guest room now, where she'd been sleeping since Saturday. I sat in the darkness, listening to the house settle around me. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. "This is Nicole from Meridian, Jessica's coworker. Tyler gave me your number. I hope that's okay." I stared at the screen. I wanted to reach out before the hearing tomorrow. "There's something you should know about Derek." My pulse quickened. I typed back, "What is it?" The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Can we talk in person?" "I get off work at 5 tomorrow. There's a coffee shop on Maple and 3rd. I checked the time, almost midnight. "I'll be there," I replied. "Thank you. And Kyle? Be careful. Derek's he's not stable. I've seen things at work. Just be careful." The message left a cold weight in my stomach. I thought about the security footage. Derek standing on our porch, leaning close to the door, sitting in his car for 12 minutes. I pulled up the police report and added Nicole's warning to my notes. Then I forwarded the text exchange to Palmer with a brief explanation. His response came through 2 minutes later. "Good catch. This supports the restraining order. See you at 9. I turned off the computer and headed upstairs. Emma's door was cracked open, her nightlight casting soft shadows across her walls. She was curled up with her stuffed elephant, breathing softly. Everything I was doing, the documentation, the lawyer, the restraining order, it was all for her, to keep her safe, to give her stability when everything else was falling apart. I pulled her door almost closed and walked to my room. Tomorrow we'd face Derek in court. Then I'd meet Nicole and find out whatever she needed to tell me. And Monday, Palmer would file the divorce papers. One step at a time. The coffee shop Nicole chose was 20 minutes outside town, tucked into a strip mall I'd never noticed before. I arrived 15 minutes early, parked where I could watch the entrance, and waited. My phone buzzed. "Jessica. Emma's asking why you didn't come home last night. What should I tell her?" I'd crashed at Tyler and Amber's place after the restraining order hearing. The judge had granted Jessica's request. Derek couldn't come within 500 feet of our house or contact either of us. Jessica had testified with perfect composure, describing how he'd shown up uninvited, how she'd ended their relationship, but he wouldn't accept it. The judge had looked at the doorbell footage, nodded, and signed the order. I'd sat in the back row and said nothing. "Tell her I had to work early," I typed back. "I'll pick her up from daycare today." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No response. Nicole pulled into the parking lot at exactly 8 o'clock, driving a silver Civic. She looked different than her LinkedIn photo, thinner, with dark circles under her eyes. She scanned the parking lot before getting out, then hurried inside. I gave her a minute, then followed. She'd chosen a table in the back corner, positioned so she could see the door. 2 cups of coffee already sat on the table. She'd been here earlier, I realized. Waiting. "Kyle." She stood briefly, shook my hand. Her palm was cold despite the warm cup she'd been holding. "Thanks for meeting me. You said it was urgent." "It is." She glanced toward the door again. "I don't have much time. I called in sick today, but if anyone sees me..." "What's going on, Nicole?" She wrapped both hands around her coffee cup. "I need you to understand something first. I didn't know about Jessica and Derek until 2 weeks ago. I found them in the conference room after hours, and I confronted Jessica the next day. She told me she was ending it, that it was a mistake. I believed her. Okay. But Derek..." She took a breath. "Derek didn't take it well. At all." The door chimed. We both looked up. An elderly couple shuffled toward the counter. Nicole lowered her voice. "He started showing up at her desk constantly, sending emails about project updates that had nothing to do with work. She blocked his personal number, so he started calling from the office line. HR got involved last week. Jessica didn't mention that. She probably didn't want to worry you. Or maybe..." Nicole hesitated. "Maybe she didn't want you to know how bad it got." "How bad did it get?" "Monday morning, he cornered her in the parking garage. Told her if she wouldn't talk to him, he'd tell everyone at the company about the affair. Make sure her career was destroyed." Nicole's hands tightened around her cup. "She told him to do whatever he wanted, that she'd already told you, that she didn't care who else knew." I felt something cold settle in my chest. Jessica hadn't mentioned any of this. Not during our conversations, not at the hearing. What happened then? He lost it, started screaming at her, calling her. Nicole shook her head. Security had to escort him out of the building. He's on administrative leave pending an investigation. When was this? Monday, 2 days before he showed up at your house. The timeline clicked into place. Derek gets kicked out of work Monday morning. Shows up at our house Saturday evening. The restraining order hearing was yesterday, Wednesday. "There's more," Nicole said. "This morning I got to work early to grab some files from my desk. Derek was in the parking garage, just sitting in his car watching the entrance." "Did he see you?" "I don't think so. I parked on a different level and went in through the side door." She leaned forward. "Kyle, he's obsessed. And now that the restraining order's in place, he can't get to Jessica directly. I'm worried about what he might do." "Like what?" "I don't know. That's what scares me." She pulled out her phone, scrolled through something, then turned it toward me. "He sent this to the company-wide Slack channel at 6 this morning. I took it down within 5 minutes, but I screenshot it." The message was brief. Sometimes the people you trust most are the ones destroying you from the inside. Ask Jessica Jones about integrity. "Jones?" I said. "Sorry, Walsh. Jessica Walsh." Nicole pulled the phone back. "He's using her married name now, making sure everyone knows exactly who he's talking about. It's trying to trace if he sent anything else, but he's locked out of most systems." "Most systems?" "He still has access to his email and some shared drives. They're working on revoking everything, but it takes time. Corporate IT moves slow. She checked her watch. I need to get back before anyone notices I'm gone. But Kyle, I'm telling you this because Jessica won't. She thinks she can handle it, that if she just ignores him, he'll give up. But I've worked with Derek for 3 years. He doesn't give up. What do you want me to do? I don't know. Keep Emma safe. Watch your house. Maybe. She stood, slinging her purse over her shoulder. Maybe don't assume Jessica's keeping things from you because she doesn't care. She's terrified. Of Derek. Of losing Emma. Of what you think of her. People don't make good decisions when they're terrified. She left before I could respond. I sat there for a long time, staring at my untouched coffee. My phone buzzed again. Gregory Palmer, my attorney. Divorce papers ready for your signature. Can you come by this afternoon? I'll be there at 2, I replied. Another message came through. Tyler. Amber's asking if you want to come for dinner tonight. She's worried about you. Tell her thanks, but I'm picking up Emma from daycare. Going to spend the evening with her. Good. That kid needs her dad right now. I drove to Gregory's office in a daze. The papers were exactly as we'd discussed. Joint custody with a detailed parenting plan, division of assets, no alimony. Clean and straightforward. You're sure about this? Gregory asked as I signed the last page. Once we file Monday morning, there's a mandatory waiting period, but the process is in motion. I'm sure. He nodded, sliding the papers into a folder. I'll have these filed first thing Monday. You should tell Jessica this weekend. Give her a heads up that it's coming. I will. But I didn't know if I would. Nicole's words kept circling through my head. People don't make good decisions when they're terrified. Emma was waiting by the daycare window when I pulled up, her face lighting up when she saw my car. She ran out clutching a drawing. Our family, stick figures holding hands in front of a crooked house. I made this for you, Daddy. It's perfect, sweetheart. I buckled her into her car seat, my hands shaking slightly. What do you want for dinner? Pizza with extra cheese. Pizza it is. We drove past our house on the way to the pizza place. Jessica's car was in the driveway, but I didn't stop. Emma didn't ask why. At the restaurant, she chattered about her day, how she'd played princess at recess, how her friend Olivia had brought cookies for snack time, how she'd learned a new song. I listened and nodded and tried not to think about the divorce papers sitting in Gregory's office, waiting for Monday morning. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. You think a piece of paper stops me? You think anything stops me? I stared at the message. Blocked the number. It buzzed again immediately. Different number, same message. Emma was coloring on her placemat, humming the new song from school. I turned my phone face down and focused on my daughter. But my mind was already calculating how many cameras I could install this weekend, whether our homeowner's insurance covered security systems, how quickly I could change the locks. The pizza arrived. Emma took a huge bite, cheese stretching from her mouth to the slice. She giggled. Daddy, look, I'm a cheese monster. I smiled. The scariest monster I've ever seen. My phone buzzed again, and again, and again. I left it face down on the table and ate pizza with my daughter, pretending everything was fine. The language center occupied the second floor of a converted brownstone on Maple Street, sandwiched between a yoga studio and an organic grocery. I'd driven past it 100 times without really seeing it. One of those places that blends into the background until it becomes relevant. It became very relevant last Tuesday. Jessica had mentioned the French lessons casually over dinner about 3 weeks ago. Meridian's expanding the European accounts, she'd said, twirling pasta on her fork. They're offering to subsidize language training for anyone who wants it. I figured it couldn't hurt. Made sense at the time. Jessica was always looking for professional development opportunities, always trying to get ahead. I'd encouraged it, actually. Told her it was a great idea. I should have paid more attention. The first weird thing I noticed was Thursday night, maybe a week and a half ago. I'd come home early, rare occurrence, and found Jessica in the living room with her French workbook open, practicing phrases out loud. But they weren't business phrases. Tes yeux sont magnifiques, she was saying, her pronunciation careful and deliberate. Your eyes are magnificent. She repeated it 3 times, adjusting her accent each time. That for a client meeting? I'd asked from the doorway. She jumped, actually jumped, slamming the workbook shut. God, you scared me. I didn't hear you come in. Sorry, didn't mean to startle you. It's fine, just practicing. She'd smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. The tutor says we should practice conversational phrases, not just business terminology. Makes the learning more natural. I'd nodded, accepted it, moved on. But the phrase stuck with me. Your eyes are magnificent. Seemed like an odd choice for business French. Saturday morning, I found the dictionary. Jessica had left for the grocery store, and I was looking for Emma's stuffed rabbit. She'd hidden it somewhere and was having a meltdown about it. I'd checked under the couch cushions, behind the TV stand, and finally in Jessica's work bag, which she'd left on the kitchen counter. The rabbit wasn't there. But a French-English pocket dictionary was, and when I pulled it out, a folded piece of paper fell from between the pages. I shouldn't have looked. I knew I shouldn't have looked. I looked. The paper was a vocabulary list in Jessica's handwriting. Standard stuff at first, greetings, numbers, common verbs. But in the margins, in different handwriting, were little notes. Corrections mostly. Good effort, next to one word. Almost. Try this pronunciation, next to another. And at the bottom, in that same unfamiliar handwriting, you're doing beautifully. Looking forward to Tuesday's session. M. I'd flipped through the dictionary itself. More margin notes, scattered throughout. Little encouragements, smiley faces. And on one page, circled in pen, "Tu me manques." You're missing from me. I miss you. That hollow feeling from before, from the Derek situation, started creeping back. That sense of the ground shifting beneath my feet. I'd put the dictionary back, found Emma's rabbit under the dining room table, and spent the rest of the weekend watching Jessica more carefully. She had class Tuesday and Thursday evenings, 7 to 8:30. She'd been going for 3 weeks now. Always came home right around 9, sometimes a little after. Said the instructor, Monsieur Beaumont, she called him, sometimes ran long if people had questions. Tuesday night, I told Jessica I had to work late. Quarterly reports again, I said. She'd kissed me goodbye, grabbed her workbook and that dictionary, and headed out at 6:45. I waited 10 minutes, then followed. The Language Center's lobby was small but nice. Hardwood floors, a few chairs, a bulletin board covered in flyers for conversation groups and cultural events. A bored-looking college kid sat at the reception desk, scrolling through her phone. "Help you?" she asked without looking up. "I'm thinking about signing up for classes," I said. "Mind if I sit in on a session, just to see if it's a good fit?" She shrugged. Monsieur Beaumont's French 101 is in room 2B. Up the stairs, second door on the left. He usually doesn't mind observers. I climbed the stairs slowly, quietly. The building was old enough that the steps creaked if you weren't careful. Room 2B's door was open about 6 inches. I could hear voices inside, someone counting in French, then laughter. I positioned myself in the hallway where I could see through the gap without being immediately visible. There were 8 students total, arranged in a semicircle of chairs. Jessica sat near the middle, her workbook open on her lap. And at the front of the room, perched on the edge of a desk, was a man I assumed was Monsieur Beaumont. Mid-30s, dark hair, expensive-looking glasses. The kind of guy who probably described himself as passionate about language and culture on dating apps. He wore dark jeans and a button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up, the universal uniform of men trying to look casually sophisticated. Très bien, he was saying. Now, let's practice conversational phrases. Turn to your partner and introduce yourself as if you're meeting at a cafe. The students paired off. Jessica turned to the woman next to her, an older lady with gray hair pulled back in a bun. But Monsieur Beaumont, M., walked over to Jessica's pair, listening to their exchange. When they finished, he crouched down next to Jessica's chair, pointing at something in her workbook. I couldn't hear what he said, but I saw Jessica laugh, saw her lean slightly toward him as he spoke, saw him put his hand on the back of her chair, his face maybe 6 inches from hers. The older woman had turned to talk to someone else. For maybe 30 seconds, it was just Jessica and M, heads bent close together, voices too low for me to catch. Then he stood, moved on to the next pair, and the moment passed. But I'd seen enough. I stayed for the full 90 minutes, watching from the hallway, watching how M called on Jessica more than the other students, watching how she smiled when he corrected her pronunciation, watching how, during the break, they stood together by the window, coffee cups in hand, talking while the other students chatted among themselves. Nothing overtly inappropriate. Nothing I could point to and say definitively, "There, that's proof." But I'd learned to trust my gut, and my gut was screaming. After class ended, I slipped back downstairs before the students started filing out. I waited in my car across the street, engine off, watching the building's entrance. Jessica emerged at 8:40, right on schedule. Alone. M came out about 10 minutes later, also alone. He walked to his silver Audi parked 2 spaces down from where I sat, got in, and drove off. I waited another 5 minutes, then went back inside. The receptionist was packing up her stuff. "We're closing," she said. "Quick question. Do students ever meet up outside of class? Like study groups or practice sessions?" She rolled her eyes. "Oh yeah, Monsieur Beaumont's always encouraging that. Says immersion is key or whatever. There's a group that meets at Café Noir on Wednesday afternoons. I think some people do one-on-one practice too." "One-on-one?" "Yeah, like meeting up to practice conversation. Monsieur Beaumont offers private tutoring sessions too if you want extra help. But those cost more." "How much more?" She shrugged. "I don't handle billing. You'd have to ask him." I thanked her and left, my mind already spinning. At home, Jessica was in the kitchen making tea, still in her work clothes. "How are the reports?" she asked. "Tedious. How was class?" "Good. We're learning past tense now. It's tricky, but Monsieur Beaumont is really patient." "That's great." I leaned against the counter. "You ever do any studying outside of class?" The receptionist mentioned study groups. Something flickered across her face. Brief, but there. "Sometimes a few of us grab coffee after class, nothing formal." "At Café Noir?" The flicker again, longer this time. "How did you—" "Yeah, sometimes." "Why?" "Just curious. Seems like you're really committed to this." "Well, it's important for work." She took her tea and headed toward the stairs. "I'm going to take a bath." "Long day." I waited until I heard the bathroom door close, then pulled out my phone. Time to do what I should have done from the start. Time to verify everything. I hired a private investigator Friday morning. His name was Robert Keene, 50-something, former police detective, came recommended by Gregory Palmer. We met at a diner on the outskirts of town, and I laid out everything. Derek, the affair, the restraining order, the threatening texts. And now this. Monsieur Beaumont, the French lessons, the margin notes in the dictionary. "You think she's involved with the teacher too?" Robert asked, stirring sugar into his coffee. I don't know what to think anymore. Maybe I'm paranoid. Maybe I'm seeing patterns that aren't there. Or maybe your instincts are telling you something. He pulled out a notepad. "Give me a week. I'll follow her to class, Document who she talks to, where she goes after. If there's something happening, we'll find out. The week that followed was the longest of my life. I went through the motions: work, picking up Emma, making dinner, pretending everything was normal. Jessica went to her Tuesday and Thursday classes. Came home at 9 both nights, cheerful, talking about verb conjugations and French culture. And I smiled and nodded and waited for Robert's report. It came the following Friday. He called me at work, voice neutral and professional. "Can you meet me at the same diner? I have photos." My stomach dropped. "Just tell me. In person is better." I left work early, told my boss I had a family emergency. Not a lie. Robert was already in a booth when I arrived, manila folder on the table in front of him. He didn't waste time with pleasantries. "Your wife's not having an affair with the French teacher," he said. The relief was so intense I felt dizzy. "You're sure?" "Positive. I followed her to both classes this week. Watched her go in, watched her come out. Tuesday night she went straight home. Thursday night she stopped at the grocery store, then home. No detours, no meetings, nothing suspicious." "What about the notes in her dictionary? The Toomey monks?" Robert opened the folder, pulled out a photo. It showed Monsieur Beaumont standing outside the language center, talking to an older man with gray hair. They were holding hands. "Monsieur Beaumont is gay," Robert said. "Married to his husband for 6 years. I talked to some of his other students. He writes encouraging notes in everyone's materials. It's just his teaching style. Enthusiastic, supportive, maybe a little over the top. But there's nothing romantic happening." I stared at the photo. I was wrong. About this, yes, but Robert pulled out more photos. Derek Walsh is a different story. The images showed Derek's silver Audi parked on our street at various times over the past week. Tuesday morning at 6:15. Wednesday evening at 8:30. Thursday afternoon at 2. "He's watching your house," Robert said. "Violating the restraining order, but doing it carefully. Parks just far enough away that it's technically not within 500 feet. Sits there for 20-30 minutes, then leaves." My hands clenched into fists. The police need to know about this. Already called it in. Gave them copies of these photos with timestamps. They're adding it to the case file. Robert leaned back. "But Kyle, here's what worries me. Wednesday afternoon, when your wife was at work and you were at the office, Derek didn't just sit in his car. He walked up to your house, tried the front door, checked the windows, spent about 5 minutes on your property, then left. While Emma was at daycare? Yes, nobody was home. But if someone had been..." Robert let the implication hang. I felt cold all over. What do I do? Get better security, cameras on all entrances, change the locks, make sure your daycare knows not to release Emma to anyone except you or Jessica, and document everything, every sighting, every violation. Build a case for a more restrictive order. I nodded, already mentally cataloging what needed to be done. "One more thing," Robert said, pulling out a final photo. This one showed Jessica in the Meridian Solutions parking garage talking to Nicole. Your wife's been meeting with her coworker during lunch breaks. They sit in Nicole's car and talk for 30-40 minutes. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but he tapped the photo. "Look at your wife's face." Jessica was crying in the image, hands covering her face, shoulders shaking. "Whatever's happening," Robert said quietly, "she's not handling it well." I filed for divorce the following Monday, just like I'd planned. Gregory served Jessica the papers at work. Neutral territory, he'd suggested, less traumatic than doing it at home. She called me at 2:30, voice hollow. "You really did it." "I told you I would." "I know, I hoped." She trailed off. "Can we talk? Tonight? After Emma's asleep?" "There's nothing to talk about." Please, Kyle, just give me 30 minutes. Against my better judgment, I agreed. She was waiting in the living room when I came downstairs at 9. Emma was asleep, her nightlight casting soft shadows under her door. The house was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. Jessica had been crying. Her eyes were red, makeup smudged. She'd changed out of her work clothes into sweatpants and an old t-shirt from a 5K we'd run together years ago. I'm not going to fight the divorce, she said, before I could sit down. The terms you outlined are fair. More than fair, actually. You should have primary custody. I know that. I sat in the armchair across from her, keeping distance between us. Okay. But I need you to understand something. She twisted her hands in her lap. I know I destroyed this. I know I ruined everything we built. And I know saying I'm sorry doesn't fix anything. But Kyle, I never meant for any of this to happen. Nobody ever means for it to happen. No, I know. That's not an excuse. She took a shaky breath. When I started seeing Derek, I was so lost. You were working all the time. I was working all the time. Emma was in that phase where she only wanted you, and I felt invisible, like I didn't matter to anyone. So you had an affair. So I made a terrible choice. And then I made it again. And again. Until it became this thing I couldn't control. She wiped her eyes. Derek made me feel seen. That's all it was. Not love, not some grand romance. Just someone paying attention to me. I paid attention to you. I know you did. But it didn't feel like enough, and that's on me, not you. My emptiness, my insecurity, that was mine to deal with. I should have talked to you. Should have gone to therapy. Should have done literally anything except what I did. I didn't respond. Couldn't, really. Part of me wanted to rage at her, to list every lie and betrayal. But the larger part just felt exhausted. The French classes, I said finally. I thought you were cheating again. With the instructor. She looked up sharply. What? No. Kyle, no. Monsieur Beaumont is gay. And even if he wasn't, she shook her head. I'm not cheating. I ended things with Derek. I know you don't believe me, but I did. I had you followed. Her face went pale. You what? Hired an investigator. He confirmed you're not involved with the teacher. Also confirmed that Derek's been stalking our house. I know. Nicole told me she saw his car on the street last week. She hesitated. We've been trying to figure out how to handle it. She thinks I should tell you everything, but I didn't want to worry you more than I already have. What's everything? Jessica pulled out her phone, opened her email, and handed it to me. He's been sending these from burner accounts. The IT department blocks them, but he just creates new ones. I scrolled through the messages. Dozens of them, all from different addresses, all saying variations of the same thing. You made a mistake. We belong together. You'll regret this. Why didn't you show me these before? Because you already think I'm a liar. I didn't want you to think I was making excuses trying to play the victim. She took the phone back. But Nicole's right. You should know. Derek's not stable. He's getting worse. The investigator got photos of him on our property. I'm giving them to the police. Good. She met my eyes. Kyle, I know you hate me right now. I know you probably always will. But please, please be careful. For Emma's sake. Derek's obsessed, and I don't know what he's capable of. I'm installing security cameras this weekend, changing the locks. Emma's daycare has instructions not to release her to anyone except us. Jessica nodded. Thank you. We sat in silence for a moment. Then she said, The French classes. I started them because I wanted to feel like I was growing, becoming someone better. Someone who deserved a second chance, even if not with you. Does that make sense? Yeah, I said. It does. I'm going to keep taking them. After the divorce, after everything settles. I need something that's just mine. Something I'm doing for the right reasons. That's good. More silence. Then, I'll sign the papers this week. And Kyle, I really am sorry. For all of it. The divorce was finalized 4 months later, on a cold Tuesday in February. Jessica had moved into an apartment across town. Small, one-bedroom, close enough for easy custody exchanges. She'd taken the demotion at Meridian, transferred to a different department, cut her salary by 30%. We sold the house and split the proceeds. Everything clean, everything by the book. Derek Walsh was arrested 6 weeks before the divorce finalized. He'd violated the restraining order one too many times, showed up at Jessica's new apartment, tried to force his way inside. A neighbor called the police. He spent 3 days in jail, got slapped with a stalking charge, and was fired from Meridian Solutions. Last I heard, he'd moved to a different state. I didn't care enough to find out which one. Emma adjusted better than I'd expected. She spent weekdays with me, weekends with Jessica, and seemed to accept that this was just how things were now. Kids are resilient like that. They adapt. Jessica and I learned to co-parent. Awkward at first, tense exchanges in parking lots, overly formal text messages about pickup times. But gradually, we found a rhythm. We'd never be friends, probably. Too much damage for that. But we could be civil. For Emma's sake, we could be civil. 2 years after the divorce, I ran into Nicole at a coffee shop. She was with a guy I didn't recognize, laughing at something he'd said. She saw me, waved, came over to say hi. "Kyle, how are you? How's Emma?" "Good. She's good. Starting first grade in the fall." "That's wonderful." She gestured to the guy waiting by the counter. "This is my fiancé, James." "James, this is Kyle. I used to work with his ex-wife." We shook hands, made small talk. Before she left, Nicole said, "Jessica's doing well, by the way, in case you were wondering. She finished her French courses, got certified. She's teaching beginner classes now, couple nights a week. Seems happy." "That's good," I said. And meant it. Because here's what I'd learned in those 2 years. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Jessica had made terrible choices. She'd broken promises, shattered trust, blown up our family. But she was also Emma's mother, and she was trying, genuinely trying, to be better. I couldn't forgive her. Maybe I never would. But I could let go of the rage, the bitterness, the constant need to rehash every betrayal. I could move forward. 3 years post-divorce, I started dating again. Nothing serious at first. A few dinners here and there, some pleasant conversations that didn't go anywhere. Then I met Lauren at Emma's school fundraiser. She was a second-grade teacher, funny and kind, with this way of seeing the best in people without being naive about their flaws. We took it slow. I was honest about my history, about the trust issues I was still working through. She was patient, understanding, didn't push. Emma liked her, which mattered more than anything else. Jessica met Lauren at a school event, shook her hand, was polite and appropriate. Later, she texted me. "She seems nice. Emma talks about her a lot." "She is nice," I replied. "Good. You deserve that." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I typed, "So do you." She didn't respond, but she didn't need to. 5 years after the divorce, I married Lauren in a small ceremony at a vineyard outside the city. Emma was our flower girl, beaming in her white dress, taking her job very seriously. Jessica came to the reception, not to the ceremony itself, but to the party after. She brought her boyfriend, a quiet guy named Paul who taught history at the community college. We didn't talk much. Just a brief conversation about Emma's upcoming recital, logistics for the summer custody schedule, normal, boring co-parent stuff. As she was leaving, Jessica paused. "I'm glad you found someone, Kyle. Really." Thanks. You too. And that was it. No dramatic closure, no tearful reconciliation. Just two people who'd once loved each other, acknowledging that they'd both moved on. The moral of this story isn't that betrayal doesn't matter, or that time heals all wounds, or any other greeting card platitude. Some wounds don't heal. Some trust, once broken, can't be repaired. But here's what I learned. You can survive the unsurvivable. You can take the worst thing that's ever happened to you and build something new from the rubble. Not the same thing you had before. That's gone. And pretending otherwise just prolongs the pain. But something different. Something that's yours. Jessica made choices that destroyed our marriage. I made the choice not to let those choices destroy me. And in the end, that choice, the one to keep moving forward, to prioritize Emma's well-being over my own hurt, to eventually let go of the anger, that was the one that mattered most. Not because Jessica deserved forgiveness, not because what she did was okay, but because I deserved peace. And sometimes, peace means accepting that the person who hurt you is also just a flawed human being who made terrible mistakes. It means recognizing that you can't change the past, but you can choose how much power it has over your future. It means understanding that the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And indifference, paradoxically, is what finally sets you free. Emma's 10 now. Happy, well-adjusted, splitting her time between two homes and two families. She doesn't remember much about the divorce, about the chaos of those early months. She just knows that her parents aren't together, but they both love her. That's enough. It has to be.